That's what a lot of my recent work has been on, which is how can female entrepreneurs inoculate against these sorts of biases that might be there against it, right? Because I am trying to create this meritocracy where females who have these great ideas, but perhaps are facing these leaky pipelines where they're not getting access to funding, they're not getting access to mentors, they're not getting access to all of these different opportunities, right? So one piece of advice is exactly, which is, number one, those biases are going to be there, whether or not you could try and control against them or not. So find a way to use those biases in your favor, right? Try and show, if you're, for example, even, and you mentioned before, some of my research on accent. So people who have an accent get funded less than those who don't, right? And so if that is the baseline, this is an American accent, right? Yeah. So, but there are sorts of things around British accents. You seem more, intelligent, those sorts of things. But this is just on a pure baseline. Sure. Those with an accent get invested less than those without. Now, it has nothing to do with communication. So I've actually found that when you ask people how well did they communicate, there's no difference in whether or not you can understand what they're trying to communicate.
So we're not talking about the famous Paul Graham essay where he said thick accents and not being able to understand a person was
well, we're talking about that just a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because
that was very controversial. I do know that piece. It was
What is your take on that?
Yeah,
I have a hot take.
Yeah, I think that at the basis, if you take his comment on just the pure basis, that obviously it was not the most kosher thing for him to say. Right. But I think that his intention behind it was something different.
Right.
And so I take a very
What did your gut tell you that is what he was trying to communicate?
I think he was talking about being persuasive, and he was talking about having that political savvy and the skill around it. And that's what I also found was that what people do is that the communication and the accent, it's more about how influential, how persuasive, how politically skilled can you be. Now, the issue is that we know that we can't discriminate based on things like people's accent.
Right.
But we can all agree that things like being influential and being persuasive are important things. But it just so happens that accent is correlated with those sorts of observations. And that's when it becomes a problem, right?
That's super fascinating.
When we hide our bias behind things that do have validity. So where I advise people, so back to your question, what do I advise a friend, is that make sure you're pointing out things that, if you know people are going to have a bias because you have an accent, and you know that it's because they think that you're less able to fight for resources or be influential, make sure that you're saying things like, I know it might seem like that I wouldn't fight for resources for my team, but let me give you an example of a time when I, did such and such, and actually putting it out there and making it much more obvious.
Diffusing it right from the get.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So if I had a thick accent and English was my second language, saying, forgive my accent.
Yes.
I know that I have a little bit of work to do,
Yep.
but I have been really working on communicating better because when the company goes public, I know I'm going to need to be on CNBC and be super convincing.
Or more so, make it a humorous sort of thing where you're saying, I'm ready, my voice, I've been training my voice to be ready for CNBC. Yeah. And there you're already showing that you've got that ambition. Yeah. You're ready for that. You recognize all of those sorts of things. And same thing with gender, right? Yeah. I'm going big with this. So for example, even if it's a market that seems small, it's a female typed industry, putting right out there that I intend to go big with this. Here's how. Here's what my metrics look like. Here's what my numbers look like. All this sorts of things.
Hey everybody, I want to tell you about a great product which you've probably heard about, but maybe you haven't tried yet, and I have tried it and I love it. It has become a big hit in my household with my 7-year-old daughter. It's called blueapron.com. My wife loves it too. Go to blueapron.com/twist and you'll get your first 3 meals free with free shipping. It is an incredible experience. You get a box. It's obviously refrigerated, and all the ingredients and a beautiful menu card and a recipe card of how to make the product. So I've always wanted to make pizza at home. I've never done it. I mean, I made English muffin pizzas, so we call Irish pizza when you grow up in Brooklyn. But they sent a beautiful pizza dough and beautiful sauce and cheese and everything, all perfectly portion sized and an easy to follow recipe. Then the other thing I've always wanted to learn how to cook is General Tso's chicken. That was one of my favorites when I was in New York and I was living on the West Side in Hell's Kitchen. I'd walk home from the Garden after watching the Knicks win a playoff game. I get General Tso's chicken. I never knew how to make it. They give you all the ingredients, a little cornstarch, so all these little syrups, and you like a little professional chef, everything just goes smoothly. It is an incredible experience. It's also affordable. You get a ton of variety. It's super flexible. You get the deliveries when you want. And it really, I was just amazed by the quality of the bok choy, of the chicken. Everything was the highest quality. And it saves you not only from going to the supermarket, not only from getting a recipe, but also the portion sizes and how to put this all together. It makes cooking delightful again, and they are in partnership with 150 local U.S. farms, fisheries, ranchers, and they, listen, I'm a big seafood fan, and we love going to the Monterey Bay Aquarium. And when I went there last time, they had this beautiful card that told you which fishes you should order, which are sustainable, but it's very hard to actually get that certified. People lie when they sell you fish. You don't know what you're getting. You don't know if it's actually sustainable or not. And even some of the stuff that's farm raised is actually not good for the environment. Well, you know what? Blue Apron takes all that away. They do all of that important work for your family. And it's very important to our family that we order sustainable stuff and we don't take stuff from the ocean that's not sustainable. It's a big movement amongst considered people. So the fact that they use the Monterey Bay Aquarium Seafood Watch list to me and their standards is very impressive. Prep is, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. It's super, we did it faster in some cases, but we're fast cooks. It tastes great. It's easy. It's a better way to cook. It is a better way to cook. And also delicious. I made this beautiful Sicilian pizza and my daughter ate it all. It was one of those great experiences where she was looking in the oven, counting the minutes. So blueapron.com/twist, blueapron.com/twist, TWIST, and you'll get your first 3 meals free with free shipping. It is amazing. All right, let's get back to this amazing program.